On this episode of 300 Seconds, just in case you didn't get enough of interclique rivalries in high school, we'll be talking about ideological voting factions in the House of Representatives. Who's cool? Who's going to get beaten up in the cafeteria? And who will have the most influence on healthcare reform legislation? I'm Chris Bowers, and this is 300 Seconds.
I'm Katie Massa, and we've only got 300 seconds. Chris, I was definitely not the cool one in high school, okay? I'll tell you that.
Neither was I.
We are going to have so much fun today because we are having a progressive bloc party.
All right. It gives me an excuse to start drinking.
Oh, Chris, just wait 3 more minutes, okay?
Okay, fine.
Help our viewers to understand by telling us a little bit about the different voting factions in the House of Representatives.
Sure, Katie. In the House of Representatives, even though there's 2 main parties, there are actually 5 distinct ideological factions, or caucuses is what they call themselves in a lot of cases. And first, on the Republican side, you have 2 of them, and the major ones are the Republican Study Committee, which is a sort of far right-wing pro-apocalyptic group that has about 111 members, over 60% of the Republican caucus. Yeah, and then you have the Republican Tuesday group, which has 34 members, and they call themselves, that they're in favor of mainstream Republican values, whatever those are. But then what's of more interest right now, given that Democrats control the House of Representatives, you have the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which is a left-wing group, and they have 77 full voting members in the House of Representatives. You have the New Democrats, who are a sort of moderate pro-business group. They have, whatever that means again, they have 68 members in the House of Representatives. And you have the Blue Dogs, which are a center-right frat, basically, for lack of a better term. They're definitely the jocks. And they have 52 members, although there's a lot of crossover between the New Democrats and the Blue Dogs. There are 17 members who are in both groups. So those are the 5 main groups.
Wow, you know what? This sounds like a great new Facebook quiz. Which congressional voting faction are you?
Oh, I'm going to whip that one up right now. I'll be rich.
You'll make a fortune. So the progressive bloc is a strategy where progressives stand side by side with Republicans in order to push a more progressive agenda. Could you tell us an actual example of where the progressives use this strategy? Maybe with Afghan war funding.
Sure. Back in May, there was a supplemental appropriations bill sent to Congress by the president, or requested from the president, to fund the ongoing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Originally, it passed through the House with about 370 votes, and the only faction that voted against it were the progressives. Everyone else voted in favor of it. So then, as bills have to do, it went from the House to the Senate, but then the Senate added an attachment to the bill to fund the International Monetary Fund about $5 billion directly and about another $100 billion in loans. And then they passed that bill and threw it back to the House of Representatives. Now, when they did that, the Republicans in the House suddenly didn't want to vote for the bill anymore because it smelled to them a lot like a bank bailout. So suddenly you had progressives and Republicans both opposed to this supplemental war funding bill for different reasons. But even though it was different reasons, they combined to form a majority. And because of this, what the progressives did is they told the Obama administration and the Democratic caucus that some of them would vote for it if they got certain concessions in return. And while they didn't get all their concessions, for once, progressives actually were the driving force behind legislation. Their leadership had to go through them to get that bill passed.
Chris, kumbaya, my lord. Come on, you're giving me a kumbaya moment between progressives and Republicans. Chris, you are outrageous.
Well, it was organized by many people. I was just trying to help.
You're just reporting. But let's look to the future for a second. Something very important, obviously, is healthcare. It's the most important thing for Americans right now, in my opinion. Can you tell us how the Progressive Bloc can use their strategy to try to make sure that a public option ends up in the final healthcare bill?
Yeah, definitely. This is the centerpiece of the Progressive Bloc strategy, where 2 months ago, the Congressional Progressive Caucus sent a letter to Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of House, and Harry Reid of the Senate and President Obama, saying that they would not vote for any health care reform legislation unless it had a public government-run health insurance option in it that was available to all Americans. And because Republicans are once again just going to vote against anything that the Democratic leadership and President Obama wants.
Party of no, baby.
Exactly. Once again, you have a progressive and Republican combined majority in the House of Representatives, to the point where Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said that it's impossible for health care reform legislation to pass the House of Representatives unless it has a public option in it. So once again, the progressives are for President Obama and for the Democratic leadership in Congress, if they want health care reform legislation, they're going to have to go through the Progressive Caucus and give in to their demands.
Wow, Chris, thank you so much. This has been really, really interesting. Thank you, Chris Bowers, and we've done it all in 300 seconds.